Hey guys, Stephanie here. I am working on something that's actually going to be for everyone here. And it's something that I have been wanting to do for years. And it's a book of a whole bunch of different formatting, including like different fonts and how they look, how they print, using print on demand. It'll be a good guide to use to pick out fonts that you want to use for interior formatting. This is something, like I said, that I've been wanting to do for years, and I've been working on it piece by piece. Now I'm finally just focusing on it and putting it together. So look for that coming soon, probably hopefully towards the end of September. That'll be out in the world and you can order it. I'm going to price it very reasonable where I'm not going to make much money on it at all. And in the end, it's probably going to be about 300 pages. So it's going to have, it'll be a good guide to figure out how graphics print on demand, different fonts, how shading, different percentages of shading, like 10% black, how that looks, 20% black, and how fonts look in, how text looks in the different shading. So it'll be helpful. So this is what I've got so far, and I tried to be good and put what font is used and where the graphics came from. Let's see, this came from Creative Fabrica. Oops. And if I made it opaque or transparent, what percentage I use. So this graphic has a 50% transparency. And it's going to look like a hodgepodge, but because I wanted a bunch of different elements to it, all right, just so we can see how it prints. All right, so that's not the point of this video, though. What I'm going to show you is I already have, because this book is going to be long and there's a lot of graphics involved, it really slowed down my computer. And you'll find that often when you have a document that may be a nonfiction book that has a lot of graphics or a lot of complex formatting with tables and stuff like that. And some novels, if a novel is reaching about 200,000 words, then sometimes I'll use this feature. But mainly I use it for nonfiction books that are going to be like 500 pages. I had a book that I built. He was actually a Harvard professor. It's probably one of the strangest books I've ever built. And the book was about 17th and 18th century table clocks. And who knew that this was such a thing, very ornate. And not just the table clocks, it was about the back pieces on these table clocks, because there's some very detailed, beautiful engraving work on the back of all these clocks. So that's what the book was about. It had about 800 photos. I think the book wound up being about 600 pages, and it was like 20-something chapters. And because this was so heavily it had so many pictures and the formatting was pretty detailed, I could not put it all in one document. So I split it up by chapter, and I named each file like chapter 01, chapter 02, chapter 03, etc. And then I had the front matter, and then I had the back matter. I would show you the files, but this is something that I did for my previous employer, so I don't have the files. Because it would be a good lesson to show you how to pull together a very complex document. But because I'm working on this formatting book, I'm going to show you what an InDesign book document is. All right, you may have not heard this before, and it's okay. What an InDesign book document is kind of like a master directory of a bunch of InDesign documents that are pulled together to create a book. All right, so we're going to do that. So I already have a couple of book pages already done, and I just numbered them consecutively. Formatting book 01, then I have a formatting book 02, and then a formatting book 03, and then I need to name. I don't know what. I don't know what I'm going to name this last part. I mean, it's it's a big piecemeal job right now, so excuse me while this is my other part. So this is the part where I'm going to show a bunch of different fonts with a bunch of different graphics. So you would get an idea of how the graphics print. Something to know about printing graphics with print on demand. Print on demand is really no better than a copier. And 10 years ago, I would have never done anything like this in a print on demand document because the quality would just be very grainy. Because the printing lines per inch for print on demand is low. However, in the past probably 3 or 4 years, it's gotten a lot better. So we're able to put graphics in the books. Now, still not as great as if you were doing an offset print run, but that's the beauty of this book I'm building. You'll be able to see how these type of graphics print. So for example, you'll see this is a vector graphic, so you'll be able to see how that prints. This is also vector, and then these are images, so you'll be able to see how they print. This is an image. So you'll be able to compare how all of these look in print on demand, because I'm just going to set this up through KDP. So we have all these different samples of graphics that you'll be able to tell, including some with black pages. So anyway, I'm going to call this, let me call this other file for now. We're going to call this formatting book, and I know, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place this morning. We're just going to call it 04. All right. All right, so now what we're going to do, because right now I have basically 4 documents already that I want to merge into one book. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create an InDesign book document. To do that, we don't need to have anything open at this point. So what we would do is go to File, New, Book. All right, then we're going to name it. So let me go to Formatting Sample Book 01. All right, so now that we have named it, it's going to bring up this tab. This is our book document, and there's nothing there. So you're like, okay, great. Down here, you'll see this plus symbol, and this is where you can add documents. So I know that my first bunch is going to be this Formatting Book 01 file. And I'm going to add the next one, which is Formatting Book 02. And so on and so on. You get the idea. My computer's tired just like me. I'm in my last week at my house. Moving day is Friday, so I am worn out already. All right, so Formatting Book 03 comes next, and it takes a minute to bring them in, and then I'll show you the beauty of it. All right, and then Formatting Book 04. All right, now for this particular document, book document, I'm not going to set it up this way, but you can have it where one of these book documents is kind of like your master guide. So all the other documents within that file would be referencing that one file for styles, all right? And which comes in handy when you're working on a 20+ chapter book with tons of different styles, and you want them to be all uniform, and you make a style change in one that you want to reflect all of them. So that's kind of the whole point of having a master document that references styles. And you'll notice that on this left-hand side, this Formatting Book 01, it says indicates the style source. So if I made changes to this, I can tell it to update throughout the whole book document, so it would update throughout all of these. Now, I am not going to do that because this book document is going to have a whole bunch of different styles since I'm having all of these different examples. All right, so the beauty of a book document is that table of contents I will have in this formatting book 01. I can generate the table of contents and it pulls all the styles from all of these. So let's say the chapter titles, I want to generate a table of contents from the chapter titles. It'll look through the chapter titles of all of these different InDesign files and put the table of contents in this one, if I build the table of contents in this particular file. If you ever do a book with indexes, it'll go through all of those documents to create the index as well. And you can also export the entire book to a PDF or an EPUB. And that's the beauty of it, is that you can select it and tell it to export to the PDF, so you wouldn't have to export each individual chapter and then merge them together. Using a book document does that for you. All right, so we're just going to export it real quick. And that's the beauty of book documents. So if you ever have a need, you think, for this type of document and need some help, and you struggle with it, just shoot me some questions. And whenever I do a more complex job that maybe involves indexing and table of contents across multiple InDesign files that emerge into a book document, I'll try to make sure to record it, because it is a very handy feature when you are building a book with a lot of formatting and a lot of images. All right, and look for this wonderful formatting book coming soon. This is something I am super excited about. And it's something that I've been wanting to do for the past 10 years, and I am really excited that I finally am taking time to get it done. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. All right, something that I failed to mention in my previous video is that, all right, so you've got this document in a book document, now what? All right, so you can close the book document and then open it back up, and then you can open up the files from here, or you can open them up individually. When you open them up individually, it's not going to update any changes to the page numbers. So that's something to note. Something that I didn't mention before is that using a book document continues a consecutive page numbers. So you'll see here's pages 1 through 12, 13 through 36, and then so on all the way right now to 178 pages. So that is another advantage of the book document, is that it keeps track of the page numbers across the entire document. All right, so here is a quick preview at what to expect from our formatting document. Like I said, I am showing you a bunch of different graphics so you can see how they print. So vector compared to raster, you'll have all of these different font options. I actually am including, I know that some of you may not know this, but for my formatting business, I do 2 levels of formatting for my clients. I have a level 1, which is a template-based formatting, and then I have a level 2, which is a custom. So in this particular book, I am actually showing all of my level 1 formatting, so my clients could actually order this book and see what it looks like. When I have a mistake in this, I need to correct that. So these, in the beginning, these are my particular templates that I have available for my clients, and I do not have them all in here yet. And you'll see this is repeated because this isn't done. But here we go. This is where we kind of start looking at different images and different fonts that are usable for print on demand. That'll be good. And it's funny. I've seen a lot of the books that I've worked on. I've actually seen printed copies. And I remember getting one from a client that I don't even remember what font I set it to. And I remember opening it and looking at the font and say, oh my gosh, that font prints wonderfully using POD. And the funny thing is that font is a common Microsoft Word font called Book Antiqua. And so something to think about. The reason why this is formatting sample book is good to have is because you may see a font that looks great on screen, but when it's printed POD, for example, this is Adobe Garamond. Adobe Garamond is actually known to print a little lighter for POD. So that's something to note, that some fonts, they may look so bold on screen, but they actually print great for POD, and some fonts that may look good on screen actually print a little light for POD. So having this formatting book, you'll be able to see exactly how they print using POD. So here are all, like this one right here, this font. This font looks really bold, but it's not. It's called Bookmania, but this looks exceptional printed, but it doesn't look as good on screen. All right, guys, I think that's it. Sorry for being all over the place today. Anyway, have a great week, and I will just leave you looking through everything that I've created so far. And I think, oh, that font's way too big. This is a 12-point font. All this stuff in the back is 12-point font, 15-point line spacing, and you'll see that this looks way big. Yeah, I would probably reduce this to probably like 10 points, actually. And that's all I've got so far. So anyway, that's it. Talk to you later.